Okay, right. Hey there. My name is Lina Gomez. I'm 20 years old. At the moment, I am in B1 intermediate level of English, and in this opportunity, I choose the topic number two. The topic number two, which is about the legalization of sex work. Why did I choose it? First of all, the topic of progress and interest for me. Since I'm very much represented by all topics to have to with the feminist agenda, and of course, sex work is one of them. With respect to my previous answer, also one of the reasons why I chose the topic too is that the sex work is something that is not much talked about. And talking advantage for the activity, it seems to me an excellent opportunity to cover the topic from the arguments that not only the video and other source exposed, but also my personal opinions, which I have been building from my professional training and my personal criteria. Before starting to address the arguments against or in a favor of these issues, I want to put in context where I got the information and also what I will base my personal opinion on to build my personal opinion in this opportunity. In the first instance, the video that offers us the platform where it is a video that contrasts two totality opposite opinions that the Senator Kamala Harris, who is Senator of California States of the United States of America, and the presenter of this YouTube channel called For Such a Time as This. It is the name of the channel, YouTube channel. Senator Harris' opinion is that one of the reasons why prostitution or sex work, that is the correct name, which is the most appropriate term to call these situations, should be discriminated and legalized. It can occur in various situations and that it doesn't harm anyone. Not only that, but also that sex work is currently under this margin of illegality context and not regulation are at the risks and their rights have been put at risk, and that is why sex work must be regulated. However, Pastor James Pittman, who is representing Senator Harris' clip, and they give him his opinion, says on the contrary opinion. Of course, this will be very dangerous because this will basically uncover an illegal market controlled by pimps, which would put women at great risk, especially impoverished Russian women who would have access to this legal work. On other hand, we also an article made in a page called Demands Ablations. It says why the prostitutions should not be legal and attach evidence that supports precisely in a qualitative and quantitative way this idea of science that the legalizations or discriminalization of sex work will not reduce the persistent dangers of many sex workers. In a state that precisely the sex workers, for example, in New Zealand, have not experienced changes in the violent treatment or violence they suffer every day after the discriminalization of prostitution. Another factor is that in San Francisco, it was found that about 62% of family sex workers have been beaten by their clients, and even this population is more at risk of contracting sexually transmitted diseases, such as VIH. Colorado is 7 times higher that of the most dangerous occupation for men in the 1918. Sorry, sorry. 1980. Yes. In other words, despite discrimination in many U.S. states, it has not yet resulted in women's work no longer experience violence against them. On the contrary, the stigmatization of sex workers is still. And they still live in conditions where human dignity of them is upset. Okay? Um, Before the arguments, I give you my opinion, because some things of these arguments not make sense for me. Okay, right. I'm going to give my personal opinion, which is quite concrete and simple. I agree with the legalization and discriminalization of sex work, or the misnamed prostitution, with something misogynist that is perpetuated over time. They stigmatize and legitimize violence against people who practice sex work. But I don't agree that these measures are used by politicians and simple populist initiatives. The legalizations or regulations that resist to discriminalize sex work has to be accompanied by a government surveillance, that is to say, an exercise on the part of the state for a surveillance, protection, and guarantees of the sex workers. Without public policy, there is no effective application of discriminalization and regulations of sex work in any part of the world. No, to say that it's not necessary to regulate prostitution, and that on the contrary, it should be prohibited, that doesn't mean that it will cease to exist. It is similar to discussions that have taken place against drugs, marijuana and cocaine, for example, here in Colombia, a Latin American country, where the fight against the corruption and drugs has cost a lot of time and money for the states. And other discussions, prohibition doesn't lead anywhere. On the contrary, it simulates the favorable customers for the existence elegance markets, leaving these markets a very comfortable place to subsist, since they are not accountable to the states, don't pay taxes, and don't pay any tribute of their mercantile or commerce exercise, which makes illegal economies not only of drugs but also of prostitution a place of constant and systematic violation of human rights of people. So, faced with this reality, the state of course has to pronounce itself for the legislative or parliament on issues that cross social realities such as prostitution, but taking into account that it has to have a commitment from the same government or the same state to be vigilant and inspector that the public policy that accompanies the legislation is really effective to protect the guarantees of the sex workers. With or without prohibition, sex work will continue to exist. What the states must do is to ensure that the human rights of sex workers are protected. The only thing we do is to recognize that sex work is a means that many other women have chosen because they have no other options to survive in the capitalist system like this one. And that is why we must be vigilant not by providing them from engaging in sex work, but also by providing them with more alternatives, very possible to progressively encourage these women to abandon the sex work, or if they decide to continue their sex work, to provide them with all the guarantees within the framework of the freedom of decision that women can have in this regard.